Hello and welcome to the October 2014 energy reading. I'm Adrienne Elise. Well, 2014 has some pretty intense astrology, and it makes us think back to April 2014, there was also 2 eclipses and a personal planet in retrograde. April 2014 was also the last Pluto-Uranus square exact, which was the 5th chakra. I liken it to the 5th chakra, and that is about expression. So we're coming into this time where we are starting to express the changes in our life, the desire for our new life, and bring forward an outer expression of the inner changes that we've been going through in these last couple of years. This is super activated by a grand fire trine that happens at the beginning of October. And this is really brought into play. Well, Mercury goes retrograde on the 4th. So right away as we move into October, we've got this Mercury retrograde in Libra. It starts in Scorpio, goes back into Libra, and then back into Scorpio after it's retrograde. And so it's retracing these steps, and this is really important in time for us to get information. These 2 eclipses are about what needs to be revealed or what is coming to be illuminated, where you're getting more information. And Mercury is the messenger. So this Mercury retrograde with all of these planets in Libra are really telling us about what this whole year of astrology has been about. Because Pluto just recently went direct at the end of September. And the 22nd, right on the same day as the equinox. So we move into fall, and Pluto moved into direct motion. And Pluto is the big player in this astrology of our times, in this square with Uranus. And this month it's starting to get activated, this Pluto-Uranus square, as we move into the next exact, which we'll be feeling in November and December. But Venus really activates the square this month as it comes into a square with Pluto, and then opposite of Uranus in Libra. So we've got all these planets in Libra, opposite of this Uranus and Aries that is about this revolution of the self. So we're being asked, what does this revolution of the self mean? How is it going to manifest in my life in real ways? So we're being informed by these eclipses and by the Mercury retrograde this month about what this has all been about. So thinking back to April 2014, Pluto just went direct, and it was retrograde since April as well. And so we're really being pointed back. The major thing about March and April and May was this Mars retrograde in Libra. And Mars is our fighter action planet and the male part of us that wants to really move forward. And having a retrograde in Libra, kind of a sign of more gentleness and femininity, was really challenging that Mars side of ourselves. And we're learning more about relationships and how relationships move us forward, how we move our relationships forward, or whether or not our relationships are supporting us in the way we'd like to be supported. All of these things are again coming to the foreground, and we're finally going to be able to understand that Mars retrograde made 2014 about relationships. Now, for the last 2 years, we've really been going into some deep karmic healing with Saturn in Scorpio. Scorpio, our sign of our deep subconscious self, our inner child, our inner mysteries and depths. And we've had Saturn in the sign of Scorpio, which is the sign of our work and our duty and karma. So our work has been about delving into the darkest places within ourselves and cleaning up, cleaning house. So it's pretty interesting to have. So the thing is that our karma, we get our karmic lessons through relationships. So we've been clearing up all this karma for the last couple of years, and then this year is kind of asking us about what's our relationship to relationships around these shifts that we're going through. And we're going to get a whole bunch more information we probably won't really understand until we're into November, after Mercury has returned to where it was before it went retrograde. But the Mercury retrograde eclipses are about revealing information to us about all of these things that have happened, all that we've been going through that's been kind of mysterious to us. But we're moving into the time. The last Pluto-Uranus square was also in March and April, and that was the 5th exact of Pluto-Uranus. The 6th one we'll be feeling in November and December. But the 5th one, we're just now starting to feel the effects of that. And the 5th chakra is about expression. And so it's finally time to bring out into the world, express in an outer way what these inner changes, this deep inner work that we've been doing. And so this has really helped along a very powerful astrology at the beginning of October. For the whole first half is a grand fire trine. And trines are very harmonious and bring these factions of energy to work together to support each other. This is really triggered. So Mercury goes retrograde on the 4th. And then on the 5th is when Mars comes into an exact trine with Uranus. So Uranus is in Aries. And Uranus is a planet of lightning fast change, of tumultuous, of the revolutionary. And so that being in the sign of the self of Aries, and it's interesting that it's at 15 degrees. Now, it's made it halfway through. So we're halfway through learning about and experiencing this inner revolution. And on the 8th of October is the big day, because this is the first eclipse, and it's a full lunar eclipse. And the deal is that when the full moon is always in the sign opposite of where the sun is. So the sun is in Libra and the full moon is in Aries. And it happens to happen, the full moon, full lunar eclipse in Aries, right on top of Uranus, like the exact same degree at 15. It's kind of like, okay, what is this really about? We've made it halfway. And being an eclipse, it's really like illuminating and bringing forward these information that has been hidden from us that we really need to be able to express our truth. So we've got this fire trine being super activated. And so that's Mars and Sagittarius, Jupiter, who went into Leo in July, which is Jupiter is the sign of Sagittarius, the ruler of Sagittarius. So very fiery, expansive, dreamer planet. In the sign of Leo, fiery expression of the self. And there's a lot of confidence energy here. Now the third part of the triangle is then Uranus and Aries being super activated by that full moon. And so a trine on the 5th, and then by the 8th, just a few days later, the moon is right on top of that Uranus and being activated by that trine. This fire, the other thing that's happening is that Vesta is an asteroid, and it is in the sign of Sagittarius, and Vesta is about the inner sacred fire. It's our passion, our spiritual calling, our higher purpose, our desire for a most satisfying life. And that's being super activated, and at the end of the month it'll dip into that trine energy, but it's in Sagittarius. They're chasing after Mars, and so bringing that to this super fiery trine, it's making these eclipses about what needs to be revealed around how we step into the expression of our life, the truth, our passion, what we're really here to do, what we really want to be spending our time doing. And so it kind of helps to look at the shakedown, the Pluto-Uranus square shakedown, which is basically Pluto is the destroyer planet, Uranus revolutionary change. In the sign of the self, the destroyer planet breaking down the structures in the sign of structures. So the structures of our life are getting incredibly challenged by the changes and the growth that we're going through, and have to kind of adjust themselves to our truth. This might be relationships, it might be your job, it might be your cellular structure in your body or where you live. So structures on all levels are up for review. And as since Pluto has now gone direct, it's leading us into this next Pluto-Uranus square and kind of being like, okay, what's the expression of this in our lives? And then the Grand Fire Trine is really bringing us this place to the Leo brings great confidence and an activation. The Mars in Sagittarius, let's do it. Let's move forward. Come on, let's go. And again, we have this 2014 year of the horse at the gate, ready to go. And then Mercury retrograde. Now it's interesting because Mercury has moved into Scorpio, but then goes back into Libra and then back into Scorpio after its retrograde. So we're learning about all of this. The retrograde, the Mars retrograde in April was in Libra. Mars, being our fighter planet, is saying, okay, how do relationships move us forward? How do I move this relationship forward to be more in alignment with my personal path? Or how are my relationships supporting or not supporting my growth? And that Mars retrograde in Libra in March, April, and May really set the stage of making 2014 all about relationships. Now we're going to really learn about what that means in our life, because we've got the Sun in Libra, we've got Venus at home, very strong placement in Libra, and also Mercury, because it moved into Scorpio. But interestingly enough, on the 4th, as it goes to turn retrograde, it's at 2 degrees Scorpio. And so the Scorpio energy is being activated, but it's just a little kind of glimpse into that, but right at 2 degrees, which is the sign of partnerships and relationships. And so that's pretty interesting. It lingers there for a few days and then goes back, it heads back into Libra. So Mercury retrograde is the winged messenger, and going backwards, or the appearance of going backwards, saying, what did I not understand about this situation? What information am I missing to be able to move forward? Now, this is the same energy that eclipses, bringing like this illumination to what we need to do. And so we're getting all of this information, but we might not really be able to assimilate it until after the 9th of November, when Mercury returns to 2 degrees Scorpio and starts beginning its next stage of the journey. Now, by that time, we're really going to be moving into that Pluto-Uranus square. And there's a big shift in energy on the 23rd of October, because that is the day, it's the new moon. And so there's also an eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. And that energy is really powerful, because on that day, the sun, the moon, and Venus all move into Scorpio. So we're going to just have this huge shift on that new moon. And when new moons come along with an eclipse like that, and with this energy of all of this new, and so all of these planets moving into Scorpio, and then we're going to really start, we can sit in that Scorpio energy of the depths of ourselves and really get to the bottom of what this has all been about. So November is an opportunity to really delve into, take the information we get from October and start to really assimilate it deep in our subconscious. So November and December are great times to complete some subconscious work, some deep healing work, and also to allow the time to delve into to get more information about your deepest inner secrets, and coming to know yourself. Because we're really going to be moving in 2015 as very different astrology, and we're preparing for that, preparing to release the karmic baggage that has been holding us back from creating our new life and our new world. And so we're greatly supported by this Grand Fire Trine. And then Mercury is also supporting us by saying, wait a minute, there's some more information here for us. We need to know before we can really move forward. And the eclipses bringing up what is to be revealed. And so the powerful energy that happens this month in linking these things together is that Venus at home in Libra. So Venus, the Sun, and Mercury all in Libra this month, kind of asking us to reevaluate our understanding of relationships, There's some great energy for healing, forgiveness, for tying up loose ends in your karmic relationships in the second part of the month. But Venus is at home in Libra, and it's very powerful placement. And Venus triggers this, is giving a premonition and a trigger to, and starting the energy of the next Pluto-Uranus square. Now this one that we'll be feeling in November and December resonates with the sixth chakra, which is our intuitive knowing, our third eye. And so our perception and knowing and understanding of what's been happening. So we're preparing ourselves for a higher chakra activation that can bring us into moving into the new 2015, the age of Aquarius, the astrology that's really going to get us going on the life that we really dream of. And we're getting glimpses, beautiful activation with that grand fire trine. But then Venus comes into a square, and this is really powerful around the middle of the month. It comes into an exact square with Pluto, who has just recently gone direct, and then an opposition of Uranus. And so it's really triggering that square. And of course, these are in cardinal signs, harkening back to the Grand Cardinal Cross that was happening in April. And cardinal signs are about new beginnings, about starting new things. And so this whole year, again, has been about starting a new life, figuring out what we need to figure out, shake down our structures so that we can move forward in a new way. And so Venus at home, very exalted in Libra, but also safe there with these other planets this month, is really triggering that square and telling us that this next Pluto-Uranus square is going to be about all of the harmonizing of this, of the structures, particularly relationships, and also the structures of our lives coming into alignment with what we really care about. Venus activates the part of us that is like what we really love and what really moves us in life. And so Venus is coming up against this Pluto-Uranus square, activating it as we start to move into this next phase and really asking us what love has to do with it. What do we really want out of life? Like, what makes all of these changes and this karmic healing and these shedding of skins that we've been doing, what makes it worth it? And with the activation of that Grand Fire Trine really bringing to the forward, it's a great month because of the eclipses, the Mercury retrograde, and the Fire Trine, to get information about our deepest passion. Tap into that Vesta energy, the sacred fire within. Why do you live? What do you want to spend your time doing? What are you passionate about? That is our duty here right now. The revolution of the self is just about this. So this Venus activating the Venus, Sun, and the Moon, and Mercury this month, activating that Uranus and Aries. This revolution of the self is about letting ourselves live a life that's in alignment with who we really are. Recreating our life to support our spiritual nature and our desires to fulfill our higher purpose. And so that's what the revolution is about. And that has a lot to do with creative energy and creative activation and potential, which is this fire energy. So with all of this going on, October is about receiving messages, being open to new possibilities, to magical miracle, your life better than you could ever imagine it. And what does that look like? So that's kind of where the Mercury retrograde comes in as kind of a gift, because like we're all ready to activate and move forward and start expressing these ideas that have been brewing within and bringing it out to the people around us and taking real steps forward. But then that Mercury retrograde saying, wait a minute, are you sure you know where you're going? Are you sure you have all the information you need? And we need to kind of let the energy of October keep us in this place of fluidity and openness, because the minute we kind of get attached to an idea of exactly how it's going to look in our life, then we're missing out maybe on other possibilities. So stay very open to the signs and go ahead. Even though Mercury's retrograde doesn't mean we can't move at all. There's great with that fire energy. Plod along, take these steps, use this confidence, these ideas, this kind of like usually we have these ideas and they come up and you say, well, that's kind of stupid. People think that's stupid. I don't know if I really want to do that. Or like, I thought it was a great idea, but then, you know, and this fire energy is like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm just not even going to think about what other people are going to think. I'm just going to move forward and do it. And it's very, very powerful. And it's the energy we need to have this revolution of the self. When we start activating into the creative energy, that's how we set ourselves free from the false paradigm. That's how we take our planet back, is by activating these juicy creative energies, bringing the divine feminine back to earth and loving our life, taking back our permission for passion. And so I hope you have a wonderful October and learn all kinds of wonderful things that you need to know to move forward into 2015, where we really jump off into the age of Aquarius. So I hope you have a great journey and a great fall. Enjoy all of the color around you and the passion and for your existence. Namaste.